in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.
Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. You move tires too, but mostly just iron. So Jesse is here again, and they're on the move with Axon this time around. So we got Jesse Peters and Paige Marsh and Mike Lewis all live from the Tulare Farm Show in Tulare, California. So how you guys doing?
Casey, good to be here. It's been a while.
It has been a little bit. So what's new and exciting? Talk a little about the farm show. It's one of the farm shows I wanted to go to for a long time. And what's some of the new exciting stuff you guys are seeing out there right now?
Well, we've been here for 2 days now, and I still don't think we've seen anything. I grossly underestimated how big of a show this is. I mean, we're from Central Iowa. There's some big shows out there, but this is on a different scale. If your audience hasn't had a chance to be here, put it on your bucket list. I mean, this thing is crazy. And for me, one of the things that has struck me, I just find myself taking pictures, is all the autonomous stuff.
Yeah.
That's a huge push. Whether it's autonomous sprayers, obviously we're out west right now, a lot of vineyard stuff. For me, that's been the coolest. But Paige, what have you enjoyed seeing?
Yeah. I would second the autonomous stuff. Being from the Midwest, I've never seen a lot of that. So I think that was really cool. And then also just the orchard stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool.
Well, we went by this one booth, and this small sort of chore tractor was pulling a bunch of what looked like fruit bushel baskets, and it was dead quiet. It was what was the name of that one?
Saudi operated.
Yeah, Solex. It was an electric tractor. So it's coming. The future is here.
And what's crazy with that, Jesse, is that you see all the big brands out there: John Deere, Case, New Holland, Fendt. But this is just some, let's call it a Silicon Valley pop-up company that's just started a little tractor. I mean, no doubt it's probably going to get bought out by one of the big guys.
Right.
It's crazy to see. And there was 2 or 3 other ones as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's trippy.
Crazy to see.
It's trippy watching a tractor go by you, and it's purely silent. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a tractor company that just started up out there, I think last year. I think 2020 might have been the first year for them. They rolled that out, but it was it's called Monarch, and they have
they're here.
fully autonomous electric tractors, and it's definitely it's something to kind of get your mind wrapped around, and kind of coming from the Midwest where it's big horsepower, big implements, big, and then you move out to California where they still have those big implements and those kind of things in more northern California, but you start looking at some of these high value crops and some of the orchard stuff and the vineyard stuff and the nut farms and those kind of things where a lot of this autonomous stuff is really taking hold and starting to run, because it all kind of circles back down to around, labor and what that looks like and what you see happening out there. So there's a crazy amount of stuff going on right now when you start looking at the future of agriculture and the amount of technology you're seeing.
If you're not embracing tech, I quite frankly, I don't know how you can't. It's right. Everywhere. I mean,
well, it's like the internet, Jesse. It's a fad.
It'll pass. This will pass.
You talked about Monarch just now, Casey, and we actually saw the Monarch tractor over there. It was right by the New Holland booth, and there it is. It's set up for a vineyard setup, and it's a little narrow tractor with a canopy, smaller wheels and tires, keeping the tractor down in for the vineyards. It's got as opposed to having where the engine compartment is, there's batteries, and they got like a whole, it's almost like a mini bed on the thing where you can put tools and other equipment for fixing irrigation lines and that kind of thing. So that's really cool stuff we're seeing out there.
Yeah. I think one other thing that has struck me about walking around here is, I think we've touched on this. It's been a few months since we've been together with you, but there's a surprising presence from what you would traditionally consider like European brands
Sure.
I mean, their booth presence, their setups, they are almost as prevalent as like your big three. I mean, they are making a push big time. Maybe not quite as much in the Midwest, but I mean, we're right across from, a bunch of Fendt tractors here, and some of the setups that even we've been seeing. I think you're going to keep seeing a push with these Euro brands trying to make a play over here. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing so much of this, like you mentioned, Fendt, but they're making a big bid in the marketplace. You know that, Casey, I'm sure. And I spent quite a bit of time speaking with some of the John Deere guys, and they've got some really great new products out there. I've just seen, and I know this is probably very specialty close to my heart, but specialty for California, I'm seeing the 6120 EH high clearance tractor. John Deere haven't had that larger horsepower 6 Series tractor for many, many years. And I think that's going to be another great thing for our market here in California for the vegetables. And if you go down to the front of the show here, there's a ton of, like Jesse was saying, little guys start up with a completely autonomous weeder or some small cultivation piece of equipment that's running down the rows. We've seen some over there that are actually tractor mounted that have cameras in them and that are looking for the different types of weed and weeding them out. And that's just so cool to see this technology that's hitting the marketplace.
There is one thing that scared me. As a tire and wheel company, I saw a drone sprayer, and I thought there's a technology that could put us out of business. But it was pretty small. It was relegated, at least today, for spot spraying. But even that, I mean, you think of the technology that's coming, and guys are trying everything. And I think that willingness to embrace and try new stuff, that is a definite part of the energy, at least here at the World Ag Expo. It's pretty cool.
And the nicest thing, of course, is it's 66 degrees and we're not in the Midwest where there's snow on the ground. We could be here in shirt sleeves, right?
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
And we're all hoping to go home tonight with a tan.
If you can see me, I've got my pullover on. It's zipped up a little bit here, so it's not. I envy you guys. So it's crazy. The one thing you kind of mentioned the Silicon Valley startup money that's coming into ag right now, and if you take a look at where that money's coming from, it's really coming from the robotics sector, and the autonomous, the data sector, those kind of things like that. And I don't, I get into these YouTube rabbit holes all the time where you just skip from one. Next thing you know, you spent 2.5 hours looking at YouTube videos, and I watched one the other day on this. Is a robotics company, and they have designed an autonomous. I think it was a strawberry picker, and it had 10 or 15 arms, and these little arms would come through, and they had cameras on the arms. They could see if it was a strawberry that was red enough to pick, and if it wasn't, and they could pick between all these different ones. And it was just going 100 miles an hour, and it was like grab it, and a little pair of scissors would come out and cut the thing and put it into a little box, and that amount of information that's coming through artificial intelligence and robotics and the data that they're collecting and all these different avenues of technology, it is almost impossible to stay on top of what's out there. And really, Mike, out in your neck of the woods out there, like you talked about, it's really kind of the breeding ground for this kind of stuff. Because if it'll work picking carrots, it'll work cutting wheat. You know what I mean? So that's a very, very unique area that you're in, and it's got to be exciting to see what's happening out there.
Yeah, and you see, I mean, as a guy that just came by, he used to advise and help a company called Blue River Technologies we were just talking to, and they got bought out by John Deere a few years back now, and they developed a sprayer that could see and spot different types of weed and spray on it. And that's the incredible things that we're going to be seeing as we go forward. And you see more of these companies out there, just little pop-ups. They got a small booth here. They're showing their product off. They're developing it. We saw one earlier. They're coming out with autonomous planting systems that you can plant inside like a piece of fabric, and it pops the weed, the plant up in there. and then they can just pull it out on a piece of tape, basically in the field.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all that manual labor there to actually do that planting. The machine does it completely automatically. And there's so many different things out there that we're seeing that is really cool. But where do wheels and tires fit into this, Jesse?
Well, I mean, all those unique setups, those new devices that are rolling up and down the rows, especially out west here, we're seeing a lot of our setups already on these machines.
We've actually worked with a company and did some development work with a company. I'm not going to say their name, but they actually were in the process of developing an apple picker, and we actually built some, prototype products for them. And that was a really fun project we did earlier on. We even did something with another company and helped them provide some different tires. And this is kind of more of a fun, gimmicky thing. This is probably maybe 3 years back, where they were able to provide a mower for like golf courses and baseball fields that could draw a picture on the ground by the way it laid the grass.
Yeah.
So it had like little blowers that would blow the light green versus dark green grass in different directions, so you could paint the brand of a baseball team or golf course. And we worked with that company many years ago now. I say like 3 or 4 years ago, providing them with different tires so that this machine could operate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, until we're flying drones, people are going to need our setups. We are here hosted by obviously our friends at Alliance. They've got a presence here, and whether it's them or any of the other brands we carry, you'd be shocked. I mean, a lot of the technology that we are part of, the rubber is part of it, but the unique setup really comes down in a lot of cases to the wheel, whether it's bolt patterns, offsets, some of those unique dynamics that go into the engineering of the wheel component. That's really where our specialty lies. I mean, there's new technology all the time in the tires and wheels. And we're not just a tractor tire and wheel company. We put stuff on grain carts and, all sprayers, all kinds of stuff. So I similar though to the technology arm, I don't know what kind of resources these growers have. Like, you almost would need an IT consultant in today's world to help you make those decisions, right? Like, is there such a thing as too much information, too much data, too much technology? I mean, you're right, Casey. You could spend 2.5 hours on Google or YouTube and still just be scratching the surface with the stuff that's possible and out there. And I like to think that's where our company comes in. We can help you with that, right? We're that trusted advisor to help solve a problem. And that's where we come in.
And we're sitting right here in the Alliance booth, and we talk about their products a lot. There's the IF and the VF technology that we talk about this on our podcasts all the time, but we feel that it's been, I constantly feel anyways, that it's so under spoken about in the ag industry. Not many people are still embracing that technology. That I think is fantastic. And even look over to our left here, we see the technology of different tread patterns, where patterns that haven't been out there before, and they're so much better in different environments. And we're just wishing and hoping our customers would talk to us more about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I know it's our responsibility to talk to them, but I'm only one human being, and so are you. And we just love it when people talk to us about this, right?
I mean, if I'm a sales guy, Casey, and you'd know this, I think every good conversation in sales starts with, or should start with, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish? And let's not try to force a solution that isn't there. And that's honestly what makes our client advisors spread throughout the country really good at what they do. They're out there going, what are you trying to do? And if it's a new tread pattern, a new offset, a new wheel setup, or a new tire construction technology, man, we can happy to help you with that. So I think we're all sort of saying the same thing in ag, but it all comes back to, what problem are you trying to solve?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a good point that you make there. I mean, trying to figure out what that problem is and what they're trying to accomplish, because so many people try to continue down the same path that they've always done things, and come up with a there's that one time where you venture off into a different spectrum. And to kind of bring it back to the Midwest a little bit, if you start looking at these machines now and you start taking like a X9 combine that's got whatever 435 bushels of corn in it at 60 pounds a bushel, and then you start doing the math on that, and then you've got, you know, whatever it is, 60,000 pound machine, and plus the corn, and then you got a 50 or 100,000 pound, you know, head on the front of that. Next thing you know, you're rolling around out there with 150,000 pounds, 100,000 pound machine, and man, you've really got to start looking at how compaction is affecting your field, roading that machine down the field or down the road. You start looking at that IF and VF different applications that fall into that. Just because you've had a certain tire a certain way and you move up to a bigger machine that's heavier, you got to start really looking at how the machine's weighted, and then what that tire spec is that you have on it, and what's that doing to your field. And I think that's sometimes a pretty overlooked thing, because you start looking at the price of tires these days. They're not cheap, and you're making a pretty big investment on that all the way through. And that investment better be the right one that's going to solve whatever issue that you're up against.
And the days of, you know, working with your dealer to just dial in your tractor or your sprayer, your combine with the exact setup, at least for now, those days are gone. It's like, if you can get it, buy it. And then once you get it here, work with your rep, or, you know, hopefully through your rep with us to then get the setup on that machine that you need. But, you know, I've talked to a lot of dealers where, you know, all the tractors for the entire year have already been sold.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter, can the manufacturer fulfill what's been, you know, pre-bought? So these farmers, I think, are having to make some tough decisions, or at least will this year, early next year, of, well, if I couldn't get the machine I want, how do I get the life out of this machine because I couldn't get what I needed? Or, you know, I had to go with the machine that was available. It wasn't what I'm used to. Now I got to dial this machine in to do exactly what I needed to do. And oftentimes, we like to say 20% of the time, a tire and wheel setup really can make a lot of difference in either the lifespan of the machine or the productivity of, quite frankly, your yield.
Exactly. And that's a really important one, is like you've mentioned, you know, our client advisors, we're here to advise, right? I mean, that's what we're here to do, is talk to our customers and help them move more iron successfully into more environments. I mean, we so often see solutions, and it's totally understandable. Costs have literally skyrocketed in certain areas. So we've got to be very cognizant of that. And we know that the farmers are the ones that are paying that bill ultimately. So we got to work with our farmers, not just on the cost thing, but to get the best yield they possibly can out of the product that we're providing them. And we've even employed an engineer now, Casey, who can actually spit out CAD drawings so that we can specify products that we're confident to put on a piece of equipment. You know, it used to be a 3/8 thickness piece of steel. We're now putting 1/2 inch or 5/8 or HSLA or something different, because all of a sudden we find loadings are different, like you spoke about with the combines or sprayers, or maybe it's a 6 Series John Deere that they're putting 200-gallon tanks on the front axle and wondering why they're breaking the front wheels. We see that a lot out here in California. So as we work with our engineers, we find that we could come up with solutions that will provide their customers with something that's going to last longer, give them less breakdowns.
Yeah. And that's the one thing about that, is just working with someone like Axon Tire that can build that spec that you're looking for, because having that kind of level of service out there on top of what you all are doing is there's not many people out in the marketplace doing that right now. And that's just one more reason to work with Axon Tire when you guys are looking at upgrading your next machine to a new set of tires. And
it is going to be a funky year for implement dealers, you know, and these equipment dealers. It is going to be a wacky year, because if you've already sold everything you can sell, how are you going to continue providing benefit back to your growers? right? If they either couldn't get the machine they wanted or whatever. So consider us another tool in the tool belt to use as you're providing benefit to help your customers. That's really what we're here to do. We want to elevate the dealerships as the hero, right? We want to make you guys the hero to your growers. And that's really what we're here to do. We're a tool in the toolbox, to just be super cliche.
Right on. So one last thing, we'll get you guys your last thoughts on this. As you look at the landscape right now, which, I mean, it seems like 21 is kind of a repeat here into 22 as far as availability goes and all those kind of things out there. If you had a piece of advice to pass on to a dealer right now looking at getting tires for a machine or tractor, something like that, what are some of the pitfalls you're seeing right now to be aware of and in this, getting stuff ordered and making sure stuff's here on time?
Talk to us now. That's what I'm going to keep saying. I keep hopping on.
Yeah.
I've even started having meetings with many of my larger dealers and just saying, look, you actually already know what you've got coming because you're already set for the year. So, I mean, you know that you've got stuff coming in July. You know you've got stuff coming in, equipment arriving in September. If you know what market you're putting that into, talk to me now, please, because I'm in the same situation. My products are out there too. And I've got to get wheels built. I got to get engineering done. And a lot of those lead times have just been pushed out there. Even just to get a simple piece of steel cut and fabricated, it's gone from maybe 4 weeks to 8 weeks or 2 weeks to 4 weeks or whatever it is. And getting hold of the product itself, it's a challenge, Casey. So as we go around talking to our dealers, we're saying, please talk to us now. Give us as much information as you can. That makes us and my purchasing team much stronger and much more beneficial for you, the dealer. Is that fair, Jesse?
Yeah, we've talked with all of our brands, and we represent, almost every major ag brand. Met with all their territory reps, marketing people, and they're telling us, listen, you're going to get what you get this year. We've ordered as much as we could. We've got a 300,000 square foot warehouse in central Iowa. How big is your warehouse out here?
Just over 20.
20. And we filled it with as much as we could, Casey. And what I would echo and piggyback off of what Mike would say is, I don't really think we're going to be talking to pricing very much. I mean, yeah, the prices have gone up, but I think you're going to be talking availability. And now is the time we've stocked up as much as we could. This is the time, heading into spring, especially if you're a dealership and you've run those numbers, give us a call because, we can't promise 6 months from now that our manufacturing partners are still going to be able to produce and keep up with the demand, which means we're talking 2023 until we can have those conversations. So like Mike said, don't wait. Call us now. We've filled up our warehouse, but that's today. Things could change 30 days from now very quickly.
Right.
So,
okay. All right. Well, final thoughts here as we roll into the end of the podcast here. Last thoughts you guys want to throw out before we shut it down?
Mike, you first.
I was going to say Paige. She is.
I'm gonna let Paige end it. I'll throw it to Paige.
All right. Okay.
At the end.
No, I don't really have anything more to say. I think I've thrown out pretty much everything I got today. I just love coming to the farm show. I've done that pretty much solidly every year for 10 years now, except 21, of course, because there was no show, sadly. But even through those 10 years I've been coming here, I've just seen the forward movement and development of these new products and the relationships. It's so cool to come here, Casey, and I see my dealers walking around, and it's so great to just meet them, shake their hand, and keep moving through the show. It's been a really cool day for me. Jesse, what do you see?
Well, I would just say, as we meet with you every month, the theme of our sessions with you this year are on the move. And I really think it's cool to be part of a company, Axon, that, the reason why we're here is so that we stay constantly on the front line of what's coming. And that's our commitment back to our dealer partners, is that you can partner with somebody who's invested in paying attention to what's coming. And that's why we're here. Again, throwing it to Paige, we don't want to have a podcast episode with you this year, Casey, without giving away more free stuff.
Yes.
We're a tool in the tool belt. That's my segue. And I'm also going to introduce your audience to our marketing or digital content specialist, Paige Marsh. You come from a farming family.
Yep.
Right? In northeast Iowa.
Yep, northern Iowa.
So Paige has rejoined our team, and she's really going to host most of our episodes this year. So Paige, tell the podcast listeners what our free gift will be this month.
Yep. So valid through until our next podcast. So 1 month, we are giving away an Alliance branded pocket knife. So if you're tuning in today, go ahead and email marketing@axontire.com, your name and your address, and we will go ahead and send a Alliance branded pocket knife your way.
Yeah, we are brand agnostic, but we do want to give a shout out to our friends who graciously let us crash their booth over here at the World Ag Expo. The Alliance team is great. They are an awesome brand to work with. So again, that email is marketing@axontire.com, and we'll make sure to get your free Alliance multi-tool out to you. Again, pocket knife. We are your tool and your tool belt for your listeners. So I'm excited for 2022 to meet with you, Casey, and talk with our reps about what they're seeing, what the conversations are. And I think this is an awesome place to begin the year because there is a lot of cool stuff happening in ag right now, and we're just a small piece of that.
Hey, and I've had one of those pocket knives on my desk for about 2 to 3 years now, and it's great.
Awesome.
Perfect little pocket knife.
There you
fits
go.
in your pocket. It's got a nice little belt clip.
That's why they call it a pocket knife. It fits in your pocket.
All right. One last question. Super Bowl's this weekend. Who you guys got?
I got the Bengals. I know that's
Bengals,
horrible to
for
say.
sure.
I'm in California right now, but their quarterback hails from Ames, Iowa, just north of us. So that's my connection. I got to root for the Bengals. I think that's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, I don't know what to say on that really, because I'm a 49ers fan, I guess.
Well, you're
Not
you're out
really.
of luck.
I'm
You're out
not
of
really a
luck.
football fan, to be honest, but 49ers is my local team, but I have to root for the Rams because they're a California team.
I got you. Who you got, Paige?
Bengals for sure. Joe
Yeah.
Burrow
Bengals.
all the way.
Who you got, Casey? What's your call on the game?
As much as I dislike the fact the Bengals beat my Chiefs,
Yeah,
I'm taking the Bengals on that one, but because actually there's some Kansas connections there with the Bengals. The head coach and their assistant head coach all either played football in Kansas or from Kansas. So I got a pull for the Kansas boys there. But it's
nice.
It's going to be a good game regardless. So I think it's going to be a good one.
Well,
no matter what happens. So.
just like what's happening with the price of equipment, the price of tires. I'm hosting a Super Bowl party at my house. Well, I'm telling you what, the price of chicken wings has skyrocketed also. So
yeah,
we're all
things up there.
we're all feeling it.
Yeah, it's pressure everywhere for sure.
Horrible. Horrible.
All right. Right on. All right. So folks want to reach out to Axon. What's the best way to do that, Jesse?
Mike, hit him with your number. How do they get a hold of you?
My number?
Yeah.
Well, you can call us on toll-free 877-536-3276.
Visit our website at Axon, AXON tire.com, or shoot us a note at sales@axontire.com. We'll get you in good hands. We'll take care of you.
Awesome.
Bear in
Awesome
mind
deal.
that
Good
Axon phone number I gave you is the California number. So
We'll get you where
we
you need
could
to be.
get you wherever you need to be in the company.
Outstanding. Okay. Well, good deal, fellas. Well, appreciate everybody being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us. We'll talk to you again in 30 days.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Casey.
Right on. Well, I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also go to MovingIronLLC.com for all the latest information about the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee. That's September 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you'll be able to see Jess and his crew there as well because they'll be part of that, just like they have always been a part of it for the last year or so now. So appreciate that, guys. And with that, I am Casey Seymour with Paige Marsh, Mike Lewis, and Jesse Peters. Let's move some iron, folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard